I had said that the federal judge in Boston was probably going to put an injunction on the law by Donald Trump. I don't know why I'm having all of a sudden like this brain freeze. It wasn't even a law. It was a regular.
Know this one, right?
Wow.
With the laws from the
wow. By a regulation by Donald Trump to basically kick all of the students out of the United States of America who would be doing online classes. And I said yesterday there'll probably be an injunction. Well, it was actually better than I even thought. The judge was literally going to stop it for indefinitely for two reasons. One was because the Department of Homeland Security in the spring said if you're here on a student visa, you are able to take online classes, and then everybody made their arrangements to do online classes. The universities made arrangements to do online classes in September, and then Trump changed the rules in the middle without any rational reason behind it. In addition to that, the judge said, you know what, this is going to cause a major health issue. So Trump was going to get basically kicked out of court on this one. So what happened was, right after the hearing, the judge met with the attorneys for the United States of America, met with the attorneys for Harvard and MIT, which started this lawsuit, and they made an agreement that they're going to go back to the old rules, which are if you are here on a student visa and you are taking online classes, or you are in a university that has gone from in-classroom education to online classroom education because of coronavirus, you are allowed to stay. Nobody is getting kicked out of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, okay, so there's so many different perspectives to look at this, right? Because there are so many different countries opening up and people are traveling, and they're traveling in and out of the country just because they need to get out, right? But what about these students that are really coming to the States to get educated? So now their education has to take a few steps back, and they have to figure things out because they were going through the motions the same way that everyone else was. But it's like us realizing the new norms, like what will be the best for everyone. And in my personal opinion, I really feel like there should be some sort of compromise where classes do continue online for everyone's safety, because it's just way too much still happening. Some people aren't taking, we're speaking about how millennials aren't really respecting, no matter whether this is Ivy League education, humans are humans. Like, doesn't matter how intelligent you are, if you're going to Harvard, if you're going to a community college, germs are germs. They don't see price tags, they don't see tuitions, they don't see, COVID is just happening, and we need to be aware that it's a thing. But I think it's important, very important, to communicate with students and what will also work best for them, which then leads it to be up to the universities, you know, student governments, like let's speak up, and that's going to start a whole other rally.
You know,
as if the world didn't have so much going on already.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, the more I think about what's going on with coronavirus here in the United States versus what's happening, say, in Europe. Do you know in Vietnam, there is no coronavirus? There's a country of 100 million people. They're literally next to China. They're on the border of China where coronavirus started. They don't have coronavirus there. Europe, there's very little coronavirus. They are doing what they want to do. They are eating inside restaurants in Europe right now. Coronavirus is not going astronomically crazy that's killing people and making people sick. And you say, well, why in the United States are we like this? Well, yeah, you know, Donald Trump and Republicans and blah, blah, blah. But when you really think about it, you know, you hit on it, because I was thinking about it last night. And I said to myself, you know, when you have a situation like we have here in the United States, where politics and science clash, when politics and science clash, or when politics and science mix, or whatever you want to say, politics always wins in the United States. Science always loses, whether it's global warming, whether it's coronavirus. You mix politics and science for some reason. Okay, we have the best scientists in the world, supposedly. We have the best educational institutions, supposedly. You know, supposedly we have the freest society. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the word on the street is. But for whatever,
and that's why people come here.
That's why people come here. Yeah, I mean, I guess you know. I mean, the word on the street is we're a free society. You know.
Right.
But in this situation, in every situation that there is a calamity, name it. where there's science and there is politics. Gun control, okay? The science behind gun control, okay? Less guns, less people getting killed, okay? I mean, you can go on and on and on. Between science and politics in the United States, politics wins out every time. Science gets sidelined. That is why we have a coronavirus outbreak where literally nobody in the world wants somebody with an American passport to come to their country.
Right.
Remember when the American passport was the most powerful passport in the world? That was 120 days ago.
Now we don't want to see it.
Now nobody wants to see, the dirty American with the dirty germ-infested passport. And it's because politics and science, when they mix in America, politics wins. In Europe, you know what happened when politics and science mixed? Science won. You know what happened in Vietnam when politics and science mixed? Science won. You can go look around the world.
And what about the future? Now, what is your opinion on this sort of, I don't want to call it a delay, whatever universities, however they decide to execute it, but what about the future of these future, career, like, I feel like people are actually even going to come up with excuses, even like, oh, I couldn't pursue my career, or this will be the time where we boom entrepreneurs, because young college students are just so frustrated with this system that they're just gonna have to be there. I feel like there's gonna be a boom where they're just like, you know what, like, college, it's just too complicated right now, and that will mess up our economy.
So what? I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying that people are not going to go to college now.
So that there could be that percentage of people that are like, I refuse to learn this way.
There's absolutely, there is going to be a large group of people who don't want to learn this way for multiple reasons. One, because the cost of going to a university and getting a subpar education online, plus the fact that, you were 18 to 22, you wanted to go to college, you wanted to go to a campus, you wanted to go party, you wanted to be in a fraternity or sorority, you wanted to go to the college parties. You don't get that now. So you're like, well, I don't need to go to college. It's not fun sitting in mom's house in front of a computer doing online classes. I'd rather go out and make money. Maybe I'll start a business. But there's going to be lots and lots of people. Or how about this one? There's 20% unemployment. Mom and dad need me to get a job.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. This brings up so many different perspectives.
That's right. So I was just even talking to my daughter, and she's putting her college applications in, and she was saying, I wonder if it's going to be harder or easier to get into school this year. And, there's a big debate, are there going to be more applications? Are there going to be less applications? And I told her, I said, my opinion is, there's going to be kids who don't want to, their parents who don't want to send their kids away, all right, because they're scared they're going to get sick. There's kids who don't want to go away to college because they're not going away. They're sitting in mom's, living room online. There's families that can't afford this, that they need to go get jobs. So there's a whole bunch of reasons. I said, I think it's going to be the easiest year in the world to get into college. That's my opinion, but I don't know.
No, I'm with you. Things are changing, and that means the culture of a lot of different organizations are changing.
What do you think of the idea that this is a repeat of 100 years ago? In the 1918, there was the Spanish flu. People were, scared to go to they had neighborhood pools back then too. They had pubs back then. People were scared to go to pubs. People were social distancing. They even knew the social distance 100 years ago. That, the science was that far away. They were social, there's news reports of people social distancing, wearing masks, same thing we're doing now. Imagine 100 years later, we still don't have, you would always grow up and you say, wow, we can put a man on the moon, but we can't find a cure for the common cold. Okay? Coronavirus is just another form of the cold virus that you get. It's just a much more powerful version of it. But what do you think of the idea that, 1918 to 1920, people were doing the same exact thing. And then if you remember your history, there was the Roaring Twenties. And then all of a sudden, nobody cared about anything. The only thing people cared about was going to a party. If you look back, certainly in the United States, right? It was the Great Gatsby, right? Everybody was just one big party. Nobody cared about anything else until the stock market crashed. And then there was a Great Depression. So what do you think of the idea that history is repeating itself? Do you think people in your age group, as soon as there is either a vaccine or a product that you can take, like an antibiotic that would cure, but a simple cure, not a cure that makes you have to go to the hospital and be on a ventilator, but like you pop a pill and you're fine, like you take an antibiotic. There was an article in the news, the bubonic plague. Okay, we don't have enough. Okay, we had Australia on fire, almost World War III with Iran, coronavirus pandemic, killer bees, killer hornets coming, pig flu on its way, and now I read last week that the bubonic plague is making its way through China. But people don't seem to care about the bubonic plague because you can take an antibiotic now. It's no big deal. Nobody's worried about it. So if you get a pill that you can, cure coronavirus, or there's a vaccine. What do you think of like the next decade being more like the Roaring Twenties? Like nobody cares, it's just one big party because people were so pent up. What do you think of that idea?
There are so many people out right now, and that doesn't even exist yet. Like so many people are out. Like I look at my social media, and I'm also not going to say that like I haven't been out, but I'm also very cautious. Like if there's a place that's overcrowded, like I'm just not going. Right now it just does not spark my interest to like be in social scenes this way. History repeats itself, okay? The same way, we're fashion people over here on this side. Like fashion repeats itself. All of it all repeats itself. I feel there's things that have been spoken before that have been forecasted, right? The same way that people don't take global warming seriously or even recycling, and now it's like half the fish in the ocean and the mammals in the ocean are non-existent, and all these different things. It's not until it becomes something that's directly affecting like someone that that you're like, oh goodness, like maybe I should start moving differently in this. So when we look back and we say, there was the flu, Roaring Twenties, depression, like sure, like it's on its way, it's happening. It's just like at the same time there is a point where people are starting to establish themselves online as well, and taking these protests and like different things and kind of turning them into a brand or turning it into some sort of entrepreneurial opportunity. So what I feel is that there may come a point where certainly if history is not already repeating itself, I think that it'll be a different kind of recession. I think that there is a lot more development in digital and that people are learning how to make an income online. So will this necessarily be the same way that we've seen recessions in the past? Maybe not, but it's definitely on its way. Like I work retail and I see it. Like there's big companies. A lot of what we get is from France. And we haven't gotten new merchandise. So what do I do for my audience at this shop now? And how do I keep this revenue moving so that I can keep paying these employees and trying to get things from? It's just like your store-to-store experience and your shopping, and what makes a lot of our economic system go round is changing.
You're right. And the more I think about what you said, because I never really gave thought to it before, but I really think there's going to be a lot more young people who become entrepreneurs, especially on social media and the internet, like yourself.
I'm doing it.
Like yourself, and they're going to forego college. Yeah, I don't encourage it. I have a college degree. I have a degree in public relations communications, but it wasn't until for myself, even now, like COVID, where I've always been working on a brand and I've always developed a brand, but I really was able to like stay home and focus on how much more I can build and can offer from my knowledge and services. And I think that there's a lot of young people, because of the development of digital now in comparison to recession years ago, you can just reach and charge and make a living through internet. Now let me ask you a question, just changing the topic a little bit. Do you know who Kellyanne and George Conway is?
George Conway I'm familiar with. Kellyanne, I became familiar from reading this story. But
right. Okay. So Kellyanne Conway is this blonde woman who was one of Donald Trump's senior advisors, and she's a big media person, and she goes on CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and no matter what Donald Trump says, no matter how absurd the things he says, she's sitting there defending him to her last breath. If he said to everybody, jump out the window, well, of course you should jump out the window because it's the only way to get fresh air. I mean, it doesn't matter what Donald Trump would say. She's there defending him. Now, she's in a marriage. She has 4 children with this guy, George Conway. George Conway, he used to be a Republican, and now he can't stand Donald Trump, and he is tweeting. He started something called the Lincoln Project, and he got a lot of George Bush Republicans, Mitt Romney Republicans. He is leading a very large but small minority of Republicans who are going to vote for Joe Biden. He hates Donald Trump with a passion. So, and Donald Trump, every time George Conway tweets something, Donald Trump tweets himself that Kellyanne Conway, his trusted advisor, is married to a loser. So, I mean, we all sit around all day saying, what kind of marriage is this? This is the craziest marriage ever. You got like one guy who's ripping Trump apart, and you got another woman who says if Donald Trump says jump out a window, we should all jump. Well, they have a daughter. They have 4 children. And one of their daughters, her name is Claudia. And Claudia has now, in the last few weeks, that's her, very pretty girl, 15 years old. She says that she gained 100 and something thousand followers on TikTok, 118,000 followers on social media, and basically her social media has been bashing Donald Trump. And she is where Kellyanne Conway her mother is an ultra-right conservative. Her father is a Republican, but bashing Trump. She is a progressive liberal. And she has been bashing Trump, this crazy family. And she has this huge, and the only reason we're talking about is she got this huge following now. So 15-year-old Claudia wrote last night, I have to close down my 120,000 social media followers. My parents are forcing me to delete my social media. Apparently, I don't have a platform. It's fake. Which then social media has turned with a hashtag that is trending now, Save Claudia Conway. Now, apparently, the social media ban comes after a week after Claudia live streamed a confrontation with her mother, and then telling her father, a conservative Trump critic on Twitter, that she was sorry his marriage failed. So she had a fight with Kellyanne Conway live on, I think, TikTok. Can you go live on TikTok?
I'm working on TikTok.
Is that possible? Or maybe she made a video of her fighting with Kellyanne and then posted it. And then she posted on Twitter, sorry, Dad, that your marriage failed. So what do you think? Is she right or wrong? She's obviously acting out against her parents, for sure. She may also have, these political opinions as well. But what a crazy family. Do you think that the mother is right to take her down? She's bashing the mother's boss.
If my mom was a Trump cheerleader, I would probably have to be careful with what I say. But I also feel like she's 15 years old and she's forming her own opinions. And then this also goes back to our conversation prior to this. Look at how her message, right? If it's directed to a particular niche or community, like they are all going to repost it. They're going to share it. Word gets out quick. But I feel like any other teenager, I mean, what if she spoke on any other topic that they didn't necessarily agree with, but didn't affect them politically, or their views, or them as politicians, or as the people that they've become? Like, someday this girl is going to grow up and she's going to vote. Yeah, go ahead. We would hope she would vote on her own opinion and not her influence.
Well, of course. But, at the same time, You know, how would you like it? Let's say you had a child.
I know.
Okay,
I
and
know.
your child, you come home every day and you work with me. Okay, and your child goes on TikTok and says, that Uncle Brad is a jerk. Nobody should watch Brad Show Live. And then every day you have to come and work with me. You know, what do you think? Would you still feel that way?
You're right. Okay, I get it. I just always like to play devil's advocate and give this young girl a voice. But this is also the same voice that puts a roof over my head. So maybe I'll want to chill out on the Trump slurs if I want to stay home.
But my retort to all of that is, but my father can bash Trump. Why can't I? My father made a living bashing Trump.
You on Claudia's side or what, Brad?
What?
Are you on Claudia's side or what?
I am hashtag Save Claudia. That is what I am. Because I enjoyed watching this family. This is a if there was ever a reality show that should be on television, I think you know, when you say, well, what is this family aiming for after Trump is done? And I'm like, it's reality TV. They're like, this is like the #1 rated show, you know? Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.